rain. Sometimes the scars ain't worth the pain. Hit 'em where it hurts 'em. Can't stop the rain. Let the money burn, feed the fame. We don't give a damn about it. I'm an outlaw, cooler than the West Coast. I'm a young gun looking for a smoke show. Quick to draw and I shoot to kill. Do it all for the thrill of it. There she goes to kill. Do it all for the thrill of it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Spring 2020. I'm Atlas, once again joined by LS, who is never allowed to leave this desk, apparently, because getting visas for Korea is extraordinarily difficult. Please, Egypt, try harder. But we have a really interesting day today. So I know, everything was great yesterday. We had our super hype matchups. I know it was a little bit disappointing towards the end with Dragon X sort of falling off a cliff. But do you know what was at the bottom of the cliff, LS? Today's matchups.
Oh, I thought you were going to say depth.
Well, I mean, maybe. We're not entirely sure what happened there. The flash into the Baron
You
pit
didn't
was
say
certainly
pit.
odd.
Yeah, you said, all right, I get it. I
Not
get what kind of
entirely
a joke you were making there.
Yeah, you see?
I really caught it. I picked it up right there.
Yeah,
at the
you
end.
did. Well, you
Yes.
needed to catch it. It's down a long way. But all jokes aside, DAMWON did look a lot better in their last series, and theoretically, Griffin are on a 2-match winning streak. Yes, they dropped games in both of them. They were sloppy,
Yeah.
3-game series, but they were able to take down Sandbox and APK Prince, and their early losses are against Afrika Freaks and Gen G. So in theory, Griffin could pick themselves up and get themselves towards the top of the standings, because a win here is a real flip towards one of our teams solidifying that 5th place.
The thing about Griffin that is so perplexing is they've honestly gotten into winning spots and then lost them. And those winning spots came off of the back of just superior drafts.
Yeah.
And then very surprising early mid games where the opponents couldn't really get ahead. And the way the current meta is right now, at least in the LCK, is you get about a kill per 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
So drafts are extremely important. And so if they can get edges up here, maybe they're going to be able to win today. We look at the points of the match here. Tie matchup. One's going to go to 3 wins. The other, interestingly enough, when they're both 2-2, will go to 3 losses.
Wow, that's crazy. It's almost like what I was saying before.
You know what? I just thought I'd break it down there for
Well,
you.
thank you so much. That's some sick math right there.
Wow.
But the next point is an interesting one, because H-Dragon certainly hasn't done a lot of winning so far, and he really does need to continue turning it around. He did manage to do it in week 2. It was a successful week for Griffin, but he needs to continue getting victories, and I think DAMWON is the first really big test for this squad. I guess Sandbox was as well, but Sandbox have certainly been slumping. DAMWON is a different beast, and one of the teams that went with Griffin to Worlds last year. So we'll see whether DAMWON are going to be able to comfortably take this win or whether Griffin are going to give them trouble, because you have to remember that Griffin were able to challenge both Afrika and Gen G. It was weird.
Yes.
And they didn't manage to take the victory in the end, but they were long series.
Most of the games in LCK have been very weird. This split has been, honestly, a little topsy-turvy.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, we take a look at the final last point of the match, Jungle Buff Patch, King of the Jungle Tarzan versus Jungle Gangster Canyon. I don't think either one of them has really played in a manner to where the jungle changes are going to influence anything. So
yeah.
We'll see if something like Karthus or something that is power farmy.
I mean, in 2019, Canyon was our best Karthus player. He was extraordinary.
Yeah.
So if anyone's going to play it, it is going to be him. As win rate with gold lead at 20 minutes, 100% for Griffin, and only 75% for DAMWON because, of course, in their series against T1, things went a little bit awry when it came to late games. And of course, they weren't able to actually lock down that victory after being ahead for quite some time. things had gone differently in that series, I think the whole landscape of the LCK would have been different. And DAMWON honestly had it in the bag and then threw it all away. And T1 are now on their big winning streak despite that one loss against Hanwha Life. See whether DAMWON can solidly take this one and not throw away advantages like they did in that first week.
We're going to take a look at some highlights, and honestly, I mean, talking about throwing away advantages, DAMWON, they tend to do it right out the gate inside of the draft, continue to compromise themselves, and then have to be bailed out by seemingly only Nuguri.
Yeah.
So far around is the
I mean,
bottom
Nuguri
lane.
like solo won a game for them. Like,
Yeah.
a game that they definitely should have lost. And he's like, no, actually, I've decided that we win this one, and then Realm morphs into the enemy base.
We're just seeing Griffin here.
Yeah, and it sort of reminds me of Griffin's team compositions honestly do remind me of what's been happening to Team Liquid recently with their weird priority on Senna. Similar thing happening for Griffin, Viper being the only damage dealer on his team and then insisting that they play Senna. It's not necessarily working out for Griffin, much as it hasn't necessarily been working out for Team Liquid.
Well, Griffin have been a bit all over the place inside of their games. Everything just really seems hit or miss, and obviously we've talked about it as well. George of the Jungle or Tarzan?
Yeah, I mean, it's King or George. That's the question. As, yeah, Kuro probably didn't want to use his Cleanse and Flash there because he was definitely dead, and this was a series that DAMWON looked like they had shades of 2019 DAMWON gaming.
Yeah.
During this one. This reminded everyone just how powerful these solo laners are for this team.
Ray trying to do something here on the set in this replay. Nuguri on the Kale.
He was an absolute raid boss.
Yeah, he was.
In this series. And unchallenged, just allowed to do exactly what he wanted. And that is something you're not allowed to do. And I think a lot of it is going to come down to these two gentlemen here, Tarzan versus Canyon. This is a matchup that Tarzan used to always have. When Canyon debuted, we were like, this guy looks like one of the people that could be Tarzan.
Yeah.
You know, he had those young mechanics, also seemed to have a good mind for where to be on the map. We haven't seen him get to that level, but also Tarzan has been asking us the George or King question recently, which is not what we were expecting, because Tarzan, especially during regular seasons, has been so consistent.
Normally he has been. This time, I mean, obviously they're experiencing a bit of hiccups. You have Sword up there in the top lane going up against a pretty stacked lineup inside of the LCK. You have
he doesn't even need to look at the rest of the roster as well, because Sword versus Nuguri is going to be a one-sided affair.
This is a really interesting thing. We're going to see the starting lineup here, and it does look like Sword is standing at the top, but Yucal was spamming top lane in solo queue for, I think, about the last 5 days. He was only spamming top, and so
are we going to be getting what you were thinking? The Neon Yucal starting lineup.
It does look like Griffin is a bit allergic to victory, because otherwise I think Mayhun would probably be walking out on the stage here today.
Yeah.
As Ornn is up there with Soraka as the most broken B1 champion, and Griffin, they're starting on blue today, and I can't imagine
it's
that
not getting through.
DAMWON isn't going to ban it. And when you take away Ornn, Sword... you know,
so basically, there's a free win in the draft, right, for DWG.
Yeah,
they can very comfortably ban Yuumi, Soraka, Ornn, not care about the set because they can handle it, because Nuguri is Nuguri, and he will be able to win a set lane with a bevy of other counterpick options into that. And so it's going to be on Griffin to be creative on how they're going to orchestrate themselves a composition that doesn't necessarily play around top. Because what that does is it leaves things like Aphelios most likely open.
Yeah.
And they can target ban people like Canyon if they would like to. And I think there's going to be a lot on H-Dragon's shoulders in order to get them through this draft phase. And they will need to be creative in order to do so. No changes apart from the support position for DAMWON Gaming. Continuing with Hoyt. Seems to be their spring choice.
Yeah.
He was their spring choice in 2019. Beryl might have some weird Christmas hangover that lasts for like 6 months until he gets good again in the summer season, which he definitely did. He was amazing during summer season, especially on that Alistair that I'm assuming a lot of people do remember. But here we are in a ban and pick for our first game. Griffin will be on our blue side, as LS mentioned. Let's see what Griffin are going to be taking away, because they're the ones that do have some flexibility at the beginning of this draft.
And well, DAMWON, I'm assuming that their bans will likely end up being Ornn, Soraka, and Aphelios.
Okay.
And if they don't do that, I'm ready to go next fast.
I mean, Yumi's pretty strong at the moment, and I know it's not Lehen's on Griffin's side, but Viper's very good at playing in a Yumi lane because of Lehen's teachings.
I was actually having a conversation with Nemesis last night, right after he had ended his stream, about Yumi on B1 in general.
Okay.
And I think because I was thinking that Yumi isn't... She's really fringe. She's very, very strong right now, but when you show her so early, it's able to be drafted around by the enemy team because they can limit the amount of options for 80 carries that they get, and if you end up locking the 80 carry plus Yumi early, it means that they can draft around your solo laners on R4, R5, so things become a little bit difficult when factoring in the jungle matchup, and Yumi can end up getting hit.
Well, Soraka hasn't been banned, Ornn hasn't been banned. Now DAMWON find themselves in a pretty difficult position. The Ornn is banned away. I think that was the best option in that moment, but I don't know why Qiyana was banned.
So, if you don't pick Soraka here, you're trolling, is the only thing that I can really say at that point. We have seen how absolutely disgusting she is as a champion.
Yesterday was a very interesting day, and by interesting, I mean we experienced the Soraka, and I never want to experience it again. Dragon X fought every fight really well, but they just couldn't actually do anything because Kana pressed W. As Yumi's going to get locked in. Just Yumi Soraka, just do it. Don't be scared, DAMWON. If they give it to you, take it.
Nuguri is really unhappy about this. He's thinking, if only I knew about this at Worlds, I could have taken Kleptomancy.
Oh, man.
Could have had potions, more healing.
Yep. What the heck is that? Okay, never you mind. Now, if Griffin don't take the Soraka here, I mean, we're just having, like, we've both trolled now. So who's going to actually finally wake up? Maybe, as far as Korean drafts are concerned, maybe we're a little bit worried about picking the Soraka too early and then having a composition built to destroy her. I don't know whether you necessarily have too many options to really limit what
really
a Soraka can do, though.
To destroy her because it requires you to draft in such a way that you're able to either reliably keep poking her down or burst her in one fell swoop. And it's pretty hard to do because typically you're going to want mages to do that, but Soraka itemizes magic resistances first. That makes her quite obnoxious, and physical damage champions can't really do it. The way that Griffin's drafting right now, Soraka is still...
It's like she doesn't exist.
Perfectly fine right now for DAMWON to just lock in. They might just lock in Ezreal, though.
Ezreal Yumi would certainly feel like a great option for DAMWON.
Yeah, they have Azir and they have Misfortune right now, so there's no reason that they couldn't just Ezreal Yumi, and
Or Lucian Yumi. This was one of the better lanes. And I also don't look at Nuclear as a Ezreal player. Lucian certainly makes a little bit more sense. Slightly nerfed on this patch. Crit damage is down. It was bugged. It was doing a little bit too much. So now down by like a quarter. But otherwise, not too much of a big deal here. As Soraka is going to be the immediate ban. And this was DAMWON's choice, right? They could have locked it in if they wanted to. And they decided instead that they just didn't want to deal with it in this game at all.
Much like I have an allergy to nuts, they have an allergy to
the nuts.
Broken Champion. Yeah, the nuts, actually, yeah.
Know what I'm saying?
I am picking up what you're putting down, Alice.
I'm real glad, real glad. That's a card game reference, by the way, guys. If you draw the nuts,
poker,
that's exactly what you wanted.
So
Pocket Aces is, in other words, the nuts. Okay, there we go. Karthus has been banned. Canyon, very good Karthus player, so you can understand why that's been taken away. Also, isn't going to be bothered by a Sejuani in the slightest. So I do like that ban.
And the Karthus is interesting here because it means that Griffin at least is cognizant that they have a low tempo jungler, and Karthus would be able to overpower her, but it would require DAMWON to have winning lanes, because when Karthus doesn't have a winning lane, he tends to suffer a bit.
Yeah.
Because he can't clear his jungle and counter jungle simultaneously, and pressure at the same time when his mana is very high, able to just go to lane and spam the Q with Wall of Pain and whatnot. And Karthus' heyday was last year when champions like Aurelia, Urgot, Aatrox were all at their extremes, and those were champions that could win every lane or neutralize every lane and let Karthus do his stuff. So now DAMWON end up picking Jarvan on R4 into Sejuani and Azir, as well as Misfortune. And I'm just sitting here pondering.
Yeah.
What's the train of thought going on here?
Jarvan doesn't exactly have the best time into the Azir, but will be able to get around the jungle a little bit earlier if DAMWON are planning on sinning, which that Aatrox and Lucian composition so far has slightly given away. It could be an option here as Sword is going to lock away the Renekton. And now Noguri is thinking of heading towards a Quinn. This will mean
they're all AD.
100% AD. Is not what you want. Showmaker, certainly a favorite of his, is the Corki, and that will make up for a heck of a lot of magic damage here for DAMWON. Is Showmaker going to be the one playing it, though, is the real question, because it could be flexed, in theory. Corki, a slight buff on this patch to do with delivering the packages, but nothing too much to worry about.
Well,
all came out pretty standard in the end. We were a bit worried with Soraka being banned only in the second round instead of the first, but we did end up dodging the Soraka bullet this time. It's weird though, because I'm glad that Soraka got banned, but I'm disappointed that neither of the teams picked it.
I'm disappointed. Yeah, exactly. And that's all that you can really say. Disappointment is an understatement. Words I would like to use are not suitable for broadcast. And so the coaches are going to head off stage right now, and honestly, I mean, DAMWON Gaming's team composition, it's the bread and butter of the problems that have plagued them all throughout 2019 and at Worlds. Their players choose picks in isolation that don't have a lot of synergy with one another and don't really acknowledge what they're drafting into, rather than what the players are probably just personally feeling in the moment, staring at select champs. So Griffin's team composition has a lot more cohesion with it. And the Aatrox, Jarvan, Corki, Lucian, and Yuumi, it has the Yuumi and the Corki as scaling components, but then you have champions that are trying to achieve different things. So if this team composition falls behind, there's no insurance policy.
That being said, they do have decent siege with this composition. You know, you can utilize the culling and the rockets coming out from Corki to really get people off a turret and take that one down. And as we hop into Summoner's Rift for game number 1, we'll see whether DAMWON can actually utilize this and pilot it effectively. Aatrox versus Renekton, one of the oldest matchups in the book, but one that Noguri seems to really have a handle on. So far, his most played champion in solo queue this year, having 31 games on that one thus far. Not the most gigantic win rate, and he dies a lot, but he's Noguri. He loves dying a lot. That is just his playstyle.
Well,
I find it interesting, though, that we saw the Sejuani face up. Canyon could have gone to Trundle.
he could have ended up going to Trundle, indeed. And, I mean, he could have chose a lot of other junglers, except for one that's Jarvan that's trying to run in to the Sejuani Azir Misfortune. The champions that are basically saying that we're going to stand our ground, poke you via Azir, or pick you off with the Sejuani ultimate, and then kite backwards, because you've already shown us the Aatrox, you've already shown us the Yuumi, you're showing that you have to come into us, you don't have any reliable counter poke or disengage or anything of that nature. And so DAMWON's team composition is so one-dimensional and off-theme with the Corki, which is what we can only assume to be a recalibration or a pivot on R5 to try to get some sort of value.
Sort of reminds me of all of the Xayah Rakan Corki comps that came in, I believe it was around spring, start of summer last year. They were super popular just because of how balanced they were damage-wise. They could scale very well into the late game with both magic damage crits and the AD crits at the same time. It's a similar idea here, but the Lucian, of course, does not scale quite as much. But Showmaker's got a pretty good Corki win rate, so you can understand why Showmaker specifically is picking up this champion. Well, should have a decent time. I mean, we're back at Azir Corki, man. It's happening. What goes around comes around.
We're back here for the time being, but I mean, honestly, it's actually probably going to be a lot worse for the LCK than other regions.
We did love it,
yeah.
Particularly.
As Sejuani just going for full clear, Jarvan doing a bit of a bizarre clear, going to end up pathing up. They know exactly where Tarzan is, but he's just full clear, and we're going to get ping-pongs in every lane.
Well, of course.
Yeah, I mean, would you expect anything else there?
Yeah, I'd be worried if I saw anything else. I'd have to look at the map as to where we are. This isn't Europe.
Yeah.
You know? Come on, we ain't trendsetters over here. As Sword versus Nogri, you can see so far Nogri with the wave shove, but Sword actually getting out of the way of that sweet spot of the first cube wasn't too bad.
Is having FPS drops, actually.
Interesting.
I don't know if you're noticing that, but there's definitely some animations that are missing.
Uh-huh.
All right, well.
See whether that continues as time goes on, as Canyon might need to get out of here. Permafrost going to be available as Aftershock is going to proc down to about 150 as Canyon does make his way out. And of course, Arctic Assault now on cooldown, as Griffin are going to be able to take the Southern Rift Scuttler. So as far as having a crab dinner, it's just not going to happen here for DAMWON Gaming, and Griffin can be as greedy as they like with their seafood. Nogri, pulling Sword back, and with Flash available on both sides, not going to be something that Nogri wants to aggressively go towards, as Canyon here on his Krugs. Not going to get invaded.
Wasting time. They have no dive potential. They knew where Canyon was. And I guess he is not wanting to recall yet. He goes over to his Grom.
I think he wanted a gank, but then Sword got a little bit too low, so wasn't actually able to get in there and do anything. Maybe it was a call for Sword to try and bait, but unfortunately just lost a bit too much of his health bar before anything was possible, as this wave gets shoved in. A gigantic lead for Viper, but these minions will be picked up and should get things back to relative normalcy here for Nuclear. He's got Cleanse and Flash here towards the bottom side. Hoyt with pretty standard Yuumi runes at the moment in the heal and the exhaust.
Well.
Okay, Nogri just bashing down onto Sword.
Getting a really good trade-off, and Sword can't really auto.
Yeah. Oh no, the slice getting completely cancelled. And Tarzan, again, wasting time. This feels like one of those games, you know, in solo queue, where the top laner is just crying from the very beginning. And that's what Tarzan is now answering, trying to be a good guy. Of course, not saying that Sword is. This might be part of the strategy that Griffin has. It's, the Umbral Dash going to be utilized there. Nogri still has his Flash available, but he's not actually going to utilize it. Not level 6 yet, and just didn't see a way out. First Blood going down towards the bottom side, though, as Griffin taking names all over the rift.
Yeah, and it looks like Tarzan's now going to actually shove out with Sword up in the top lane.
Well, I mean, that tent's certainly paying off, you know?
Tent is paying off, and it's a really good idea if you can end up just putting Nuggery behind. He does tend to, much like Summit, play the same way.
I think Nogri gets the 0-2 power spike, and Summit doesn't.
Oh, okay.
You know, like, Nogri still plays really aggressively. Sometimes it can be a detriment, as Iroh, he's got the heal, and Showmaker unfortunately just did not have the health. And Canyon didn't have the follow-up, as at the same time, you witnessed it earlier on.
And even if Tarzan doesn't get the kill right here, what they're waiting for is Nuggery to teleport back onto the minions. And as soon as he would do that, that would end the lane. So now as we come back into live, Executioner's Calling picked up on the Renekton. He's down 12 CS though, so that is sort of invalidating his assist.
Yeah, still going to need more if he's going to get ahead. As, okay. Nogri waiting behind for some reason. Interesting.
Yep.
They do have control vision here towards the top side of the map, so protection for Nogri is going to be there. Now he has level 6, so as far as 1v1s, if both of them press R buttons, I think my money's on Noguri. That being said, the healing not going to be there because the execution is, so maybe Dominus will be stronger.
So the wave was just coming into Nuguri in top lane, and then he used his Q 3 times, even though his jungler is going to be in close proximity, obviously invading the blue. So right now, had he not consumed any of those minions, this entire wave that just arrived, while Sword goes over to check on the blue buff, would just end up getting completely eaten. Yep. And Nuguri would get an entire wave advantage of XP, extend the CS lead even further. And so I have no idea what is actually going on here up in top lane. It's just shove, 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 ping pong, over and over.
I really like it from Griffin's side. I know we've got some issues with how DAMWON's been treating it, but Griffin had some early vision towards the top side. They made sure that they got Sword that first successful gank and then transitioned all of their resources into bot side river. And they were able to take the dragon, they were able to take the blue buff, and I love teams that play around successful vision placements and their investments that they've made in the early game. And you can see there's 4 control wards down there, and they took everything that they wanted to as a result. And you can see that this Yuumi lane has been unable to play the way that it wants to in this particular matchup. So impressive stuff from Griffin in their early game. We'll see whether they can keep it up, as Corki versus Azir has been Corki favored in the past. See whether that's going to continue to do so, because of course Azir does have that ability to be the incredible team fighter that we saw yesterday. I think 2 of the best plays that we've had in recent memory, at least, have been Neon when he was on Dragon X. Now, of course, sitting behind Yukal here on Griffin, getting that extraordinary one, I believe, in the promotion tournament alongside Tucson. Just amazing. But yesterday, BDD's 3-man Shurima shuffle into the Dragon Pit was just a sight to behold. It's good to see some of these really amazing Azir players allowed to play the Azir once again, because when he's done right, he just looks really good. As that's a bullet time. Viper not wanting to deal with that minion wave as Showmaker trying to offer damage back and does trade very well against Yukal.
Tarzan not really able to find anything at this point in time. Sword just trying to crash the wave, and Nuguri refusing.
He doesn't want that wave anywhere near his turret. It's not allowed.
And they just keep playing ping pong up in top lane, nothing really being achieved over and over.
Yukal and Showmaker very even on gold, despite Showmaker actually going down earlier on. He's got the heal, he's got the teleport coming up very, very soon. That unsealed spellbook. Now has 28 minions left on his Cull also, so this is going to be Corki with a lot of money, building towards that Trinity Force, and of course looking for all of those juicy power spikes that Corki loves so much.
The ward on Tarzan's red not actually spotted out. And so they're going to know exactly where Tarzan is. He's going to end up recalling, going to get a Cinder Hulk right now.
This control ward is going to be taken. Hoyt, with his final chapter available right now, looking to try and get something done. Now, little cat in a book is wandering down the river. They do have vision, so he's going to be safe. It's always a little bit frightening, though, when enemies are by themselves. Not really able to do too much.
And we're in a lull state. So,
yeah.
You know, I said before we started, 2 kills per 10 minutes.
Well, so far, the first 10 minutes has had adequate kills as far as that assessment is concerned. They are allowed to get more kills, though. So just a reminder to the players that it is now the second 10 minutes of the game.
Okay.
And so 2 more kills are on the agenda whenever they're ready.
Oh, all right.
You know,
well, now that you said it, Atlas.
Yeah, Tarzan's going to find one here as Showmaker is going to go down pretty comfortably. Canyon as well. He doesn't want to give away the second kill just yet. Okay,
not yet.
Just yet. He thought about it, and then he was like, no. There's still 9 minutes to go. Let's spread the wealth.
Yeah. You got to make sure not to kill it for the viewers.
I really need to apologize to DWG Gaming for that caster curse. That was not the optimal one, I don't think. However, it was a pretty comfortable gank here for Griffin. Tarzan just wanders on in, didn't have to invest anything. Yukal did use his heal and his flash, but it means that Tarzan can affect other lanes. That's a teleport in from Showmaker, though, and DWG really do want to try and get something going. Canyon looking for the range As no, not able to get the Cataclysm off, and finally presses the button as the Lantern just pulls the Sejuani away.
And
that was a comedy of errors.
In the end,
or outplays, depending on how you want to say it. There's in goes Yukal, gets the flash ultimate, and it's all too easy from there.
Also able to just shove the wave in right there. And we hear someone's pinging something.
There's a lot of going on.
Sword down in XP to Nuguri right now.
Nuguri with his Black Cleaver now completed. See where he goes next in the item build on this Aatrox. His magical boots also online, as you can see. The Showmaker still farming very well. Of course, him and Chovy, our farmers. We were talking about Chovy yesterday. And Showmaker certainly the other side of that coin. As Griffin looking to grab their second Drake. Of course, Ocean Soul or Infernal Soul, both fantastic for both teams. Of course, Infernal Soul with a Corki Lucian composition, not to mention the Aatrox, is going to be exactly what you want. Corki's double scaling, making that just too good, but it's going to be the Ocean Drake.
And Ocean Soul is really obnoxious for DAMWON to try to do anything against because they're all so reliant on sustained damage inside of team fights.
Yep, that being said, they also have a lot of poke, so if DAMWON are able to stack 4 of them, as far as these poke battles, their disengage is also pretty strong with the Yuumi. And so having infinite mana on a team like this is certainly not what you want. Okay, the turret is going to stay up for now.
And this is going to cause them to stay, so a bit of a blunder right there, but they're going to end up getting it anyway in the end.
Yep, Tarzan comes on over as there's the final chapter. It's a great relentless pursuit, gets them out of the way. They do clear another minion wave, so they bought a little bit of time with this one as the culling gonna get eaten by Iroh, throws down a lantern for himself as well just for the shield. As Showmaker gets that first power spike, has that cull completed and the Trinity Force now done. So that extra money kicking in, allowing him to complete that first item. And with first item purchases, DAMWON actually do become a lot stronger. Nuclear with his Blade of the Ruin King is a big moment, as well as the Trinity Force completion for Showmaker on top of 30% CDR now done for Nuguri. So actually, a power spike for DAMWON, even though they're down 3 kills.
The issue with it, though, is that there's no dragon on the map. It's 3.5 minutes. There's no Rift Herald as well, and now with all the turret plates going down, there's really nothing to incentivize a team fight. So even while they're power spiked, it's coming in at a point in the time where it's not really practical that they can do anything with it without Griffin just being aware and acknowledging that, hey, we just need to recall actually our Azir has his first core item. Renekton very close to the first core item. Essence Reaver is completed for Misfortune, and honestly it was a really big blunder that Viper and Iroh didn't manage to get the bot tier 1 turret. And so what we're going to probably end up seeing is we're going to have a kill come in at about 17.5 minutes, then we're going to have an Ocean Dragon picked up, then we're going to get right back into a lull state.
Well, I mean, that's how it's supposed to work, because then it needs to tick over 20 minutes before we get our second 2 kills.
Correct.
We have been a little bit late, though. We've ticked over to the 15-minute mark.
Oh, it's coming.
And now only 4.5 minutes to get that that 4th kill of the game.
Alice, don't
which
hold
is
your breath.
necessary. I mean, I'm not holding my breath.
Right.
It's an assured thing, but they are certainly lagging a little bit behind the requirements for an LCK match. Right now you can see Tarzan towards the top side, actually considering Nuguri right now, whose flash still yet to come back off cooldown, as Sword does have his available. Nuclear controlling this wave despite being down on CS.
And yeah, I mean, we're in the ping pong phase. This is where all the champions have enough damage to keep reliably shoving in waves. We have the oversized mech Decepticon up there in top lane, controlling Godzilla.
Yep, certainly a Decepticon when utilized in a composition like this. As Hoyt gonna soak an auto attack with his bop and block, as Sword just taking a lot of harassment here underneath the turret. Canyon was thinking about a dive, but Jarvan Aatrox, it's not the same combination as it used to be, with no revive being there for the Aatrox. It's now Griffin looking for a dive on this very, very weak turret.
Oh, man.
And the fact that Nuclear thinks that that is a point of safety is a very interesting prospect. As 4 people should be enough to take down both of these. Nuclear is going to be the first one to go down, and Hoyt absolutely nowhere to go. They've over-indexed on the kills, as we might even have another one. As Canyon goes golden, they just can't get enough damage into Sword here, as Nogari finally gets away from this minion wave, and the World Ender was not enough to get the damage done, as he just teleports out. Sword was very, very scared. I don't think he necessarily needed to do that. The next minion wave did move on in, though, as too many kills so far for this stage of the game, but Griffin are grinning about it.
And Griffin, so like I said, we were going to get the kill. We did, and we even got an extra one because of the Uni, the 2-for-1. So,
yep.
Apologize, I'm not psychic. Couldn't see that one coming.
Well, sometimes Yumi does skew the expectations.
Yes, you know,
sort of you're guaranteed to get the 2-for-1 deal. It's like, you know, you took your groceries up to the counter and they said, well, actually, this is 2-for-1. Can you go and collect the other one?
Nogari actually started taking the aggro way too soon, and then I have no idea what was going on, but they waited until all the minions were gone, which, if Sword issues an auto attack onto any of them, all of those spellcasters in the cannon will start hitting Sword. And so it adds a lot of value. And yeah, Nuclear and Hoyt down here really not realizing that was on its last leg, that turret.
Yeah.
As Griffin...
not giving you the safety that you necessarily want your turret on the bottom side of the map to do, so a very easy dive for Griffin. And now the Ocean Drake has spawned, and DAMWON need to save themselves from Soul Point by trying to get some sort of contest onto this. But we were talking about those key item pickups. Now they've been equalized by Griffin. Sword now with his Black Cleaver done. Already had his Executioner's Calling. And Yukal with his Ludens and an extra BF sword for Viper on top of the Essence Reaver that was already built very early. He's farming very well up against Nuclear here towards the bottom side.
And so everything favors Griffin right now. The only saving grace in this team composition right now is the Corki, but still not super strong. Really surprised that Sword didn't just move over to the Ocean Dragon, but doesn't look like DAMWON are even interested in contesting, and so we're going to go to Soul Point for Griffin. And we mentioned this in the draft phase that if DAMWON's team composition falls behind, there's no insurance, and everything is just going to ride on the Corki. And here we are in this game where they don't really do anything. Their laners did win in CS, in top lane and in mid lane. Don't forget as well that Showmaker completed a call.
Yep.
And so, even though he ended up dying twice, that's what's keeping a lot of the gold pretty close.
Yep, turret apiece, but I'm looking at these Drakes to be the real issue, because a huge counter to poke is Ocean Drake. And if Griffin are able to get the Ocean Soul, it's almost going to be all she wrote as far as what DAMWON's composition is going to be able to function as it moves into the later stages of the game. They want to be able to whittle down their opponents and then utilize Nogari and Canyon to hard engage when they feel like it, with a Hoyt on top of them, bouncing around with that final chapter availability. So that's going to be put to rest.
Well, Oblivion Orb, by the way, picked up for you, Cal. He might actually die here. We'll see. Never mind. He's going to raise the Shurima turret.
Yeah, as his Sun turret available. Yep. So I think it'll be okay. Valkyrie to get over the wall there. Showmaker, they don't want anything. Tarzan turning up in the nick of time. We'll be able to get rid of Vision also, as Iroh just zoning Nuclear and Hoyt away from this minion wave. Prowling Projectile actually starting to hurt. I believe this is hotfix 10.3, so has been boosted just a little bit as far as that damage is concerned. In fact, most of what Yumi had available to her has been improved.
Tarzan actually moving up here right now. And he's level 10, Canyon's level 11. The solo laners are coasting really far ahead.
Well, we have our second power spike to the Corki as the rapid fire cannon has been completed. Is it going to be enough to save them from Drake Point? We will see. It's 3 minutes on the clock for that fourth dragon to spawn, the second Ocean Drake of the game, and Griffin's opportunity to really lock it down as Viper just straight up fails.
I mean, that really just... if there's any better clip that can just really capture this game, it's that one right there. definitely that. As Sejuani and Arporo, they're going to come in here, they're going to start beating on some golems. And I still didn't see Sonic.
Yeah, neither did I.
Oh, man.
Do you reckon we should? I feel like it's a bit of a Jim Carrey return to some of his like liar gags and stuff like that, like back in the day style. Because, you know, Jim Carrey did start doing like a lot of those more serious films, and he was actually fantastic in a large majority of them.
And then he went off, he just sort of disappeared for a while.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, he remained in the media, but for all the wrong reasons.
I guess so. I didn't really hear much from him, but it's good to see him back in what made him famous in the first place.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see it. Wouldn't mind checking it out. And, you know, now that Sonic doesn't look terrifying, it's probably
they did a great job at remastering him.
I mean, they probably could have done that the first time around.
You know, they could have.
Maybe show it to someone, you know, between the ages of 15 and 25, you know, at the very beginning of that planning process.
Oh, I have no idea
how
how
it could have been good. Like, how did it get through?
I mean, how did Soraka not get through?
Well, I mean, that's a good point too.
See?
Right? Like, sometimes...
We're wondering, right?
Sometimes QA is more difficult, you know? It starts to be that hive mind situation. Everyone's like, oh, no, it's fine. Not wanting to offend anyone. As Griffin do, just brute force this outer turret in the mid lane. Nuggery's completed a Spirit Visage.
We are 1 minute away from Soul Point, and I have no idea what DAMWON's intentions are. And I've said this every single time that I believe that we've cast their games together, where I have no clue what they're thinking and what their evaluations are on when they lose a game.
Do you know what they're playing like? They're playing like they assume they win late.
Oh, it's so bizarre. And
I mean, there are a lot of things that they have that do scale, right? Like
they have Corki.
They have Corki.
They have Corki
and they have
Yumi.
Aatrox versus Renekton, which in a vacuum, theoretically, Aatrox scales better.
Well, yes, but against the Sejuani, MF, and the Azir, the Aatrox, Jarvan, they're pretty much non-factors. Lucian, non-factor as well. And so it ends up just being Corki and his cat.
Yeah.
So, Atlas, I'm going to need you to hop into a helicopter, put on some goggles, and
well, Hoyt, he's had this problem before. That's 5 people, as the package was available, and Showmaker just sidesteps the hook. Canyon considering diving on in, as that's the big one onto Iroh. That is not what you want to see as Canyon dives on over. Yukal looking to potentially turn. Valkyrie, remember, still available here for Showmaker as Prowling Projectile comes in. Viper over the wall, does have bullet time available, and Tarzan gets in there. It's a 50-50, and there's the Ocean Soul. Canyon dives in, Tarzan goes golden. There's a 2-man Shurima shuffle from Yukal, and this just might be it. It's a double kill for the MF. The cat has found Nuclear, who relentlessly pursues as far away from his opponents as possible, and this should mean Baron 8-0 so far for Griffin, and they are 1 turret away from a perfect game here at 25 minutes.
And, I mean, Ocean Soul is never losing this game. I mean, not even Def could throw this one.
Oh, come on.
You know,
come on.
Too soon?
Yeah, it's too soon. That was yesterday.
All right.
Oh, man. Well, 3,000 gold is going to stretch by a very large margin here as Griffin go for a reset after a very easy Baron. Sword will continue pushing towards the bottom side, and this was utilization of the brushes, but honestly, it was Tarzan being able to press his smite.
Yeah, winning the smite fight, he was down 1 level. And the enemy team, obviously, I mean, they know that was a do or die, and this is a byproduct of what they ended up doing in the early stages. So let's take a look. 680. Smite ends up coming in, doesn't really matter. Stopwatch. You can just see Tarzan inputting all of the buttons.
Yep.
바로 갈 생각해.
Let's think about going back.
멋있다.
Oh, it's really amazing or awesome.
And now, with the Baron, things are only going to get easier here for Griffin as they tear down their 3rd turret of the game. Nuclear trying to keep things farmed on the bottom side, but Sword is going to push up this turret, this minion wave. I don't know what DAMWON are exactly going to be able to do to stop this Baron power play.
No way they can beat Baron and Ocean Soul. I think it's almost even at a gross enough point to where Griffin could even dive a turret and be completely fine with all the healing.
Yeah.
So right now they're just taking this very slow and steady. They have the Shurima turret behind them. And DAMWON, they can't take...
Oh god, Viper explodes. There's the Shurima shuffle to get Canyon out, but that's what he wanted to do anyway. The MF just dies for free. Viper not entirely sure what he was doing at that moment as Prowling Projectile does find Tarzan. Knockups get in there as well as Arctic Assault is utilized, but has to throw out the ultimate in order to escape, and I don't know whether it's going to be enough. As Zoomies come in, another Prowling Projectile down as well. Noguri unable to completely follow up on that chase.
And so in the end, they end up raising a couple of turrets. They might lose the one here in mid lane. Showmaker trying his best to end up killing it. But Tarzan going to make sure that it's held on to. Teleport now coming in from Sword.
Yep, Showmaker doesn't have his flash, but Sword immediately has to get out. He'll take a lantern in order to spare his blushes. Zuka will come back in here. I mean, that teleport was questionable, but it's not going to change whether or not Griffin can win this game.
Well, Griffin here, we're taking a look at the replay. Viper just walking up. He has the Thresh Lantern available, but doesn't take it as the ward is put on top of it.
Yeah, I like the cancellation of the opportunity there. Now Yukao going to be stealing away some Croaks.
Yeah.
Nuclear clears out the rest of them.
A little debated was Viper.
But DAMWON got their first kill of the series.
Okay.
They have to talk about the positives here. And Showmaker's spent a lot of time out on the Rift and not actually in the shop. A shopping trip probably in order to pick up his third item in the Infinity Edge. Zyrove just testing to see whether his buttons work, and in fact the Q does and the E does also.
And that's another turret, so all the inner turrets are gone now. Corky's still trying to just scale up.
He does have the Infinity Edge.
Yeah.
I mean, item spike number 3 to come in here. Next one going to be Mercurial Scimitar, most likely, unless he goes full greed mode, which is a secondary Zeal item to maximize that critical strike chance.
Well, Rabadon's Death Cap completed for Yukao. Likely going to be Guardian Angel next item for Sword here on this Renekton. And Viper looks like he's waiting to do something with this wave. I think that they want to align them in top. You can see maybe once Renekton gets to this wave and starts to shove it.
Yeah,
okay,
trying to get their timings right.
Right,
okay.
they're trying to actually line up their minion waves, it seems like.
Showmaker thinking about when he wants to pick up the package.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up waiting. Nope. Yeah, actually, okay.
He's grabbed it now. You can see Elder Drake is exactly what they're thinking about fighting over. So Showmaker wanted to be able to get into position with his package at the ready. But 3 items done for Yukao. You mentioned the Rabadon's Death Cap before. That's very scary. Viper has spent a fair bit of time out and about, so he might have some money ready to complete a rapid-fire cannon or something of that ilk. Now Canyon and Hoy in a dangerous spot. Is now Tarzan going to be slowed. Takes a bit of damage there from Showmaker as you and me going to be used by Hoyt just to bounce around these fights and skirmishes. The Yuumi is getting more and more valuable, but see, Canyon can't be face-checking these all day, and they don't have the luxury of this Ocean Soul.
And DAMWON might just try to flip the Elder Dragon, get it, and then try to win a team fight.
I mean, it didn't work out last time. I don't know why it would work now, but let's see whether DAMWON can just out-skill their opponents, as there's the package. They just want to take down Sword before the fight even happens, but lanterns are really powerful.
Yeah.
So now it's the package in trade just for a lantern and half of Sword's health bar that will be refilled very soon.
Well, Canyon coming over here and trying to hit Tarzan, and they're continuing to leash this Elder. They don't really take a lot of damage. Tarzan's in the pit now.
Yep, coins in the air, everyone. Down to about half health is the Elder Drake, as there's the redemption, getting all the health back here for Griffin. Noguri thinking about when his time to engage is going to be. Remember, Yukao, if they're all stacked up like this, it's going to be his time to shine. This is real dicey.
They're all stacked up, and if everyone just goes in, they can't just stand their ground.
Well, that's exactly what Tarzan saw as well. Canyon's going to dive in. Shurima Shuffle going to be used just to get rid of the Canyon. Showmaker is going to get out, but he's only limping. And Griffin make the intelligent choice. They're just going to take the Elder Drake because it's given to them on a silver platter.
So that's what I was just saying right before the fight ended up breaking out is if Griffin just run in at them with the Azir, with the Thresh, with the Renekton, Yuumi can't just stand still and do a defensive Cataclysm while Corki and Lucian try to fight. The healing is too much on Griffin, and bullet time will evaporate their front line. And they're just going to laugh at the amount of damage that Lucian and Corki try to dish out on the champions that's not MF and Azir because they can't reach them. And so the Renekton, Thresh, and Sejuani, paired with that Ocean Soul and just their innate durability, is going to be so valuable.
Well, you saw it certainly was. That's going to be Elder Drake and the Baron buff. They're going to lose a couple of turrets for it, but they're not going to be too worried. And I like that, you know, Yukao wasn't thinking about just making the flashy play. The Emperor's Divide used just to make sure that the Jarvan is going to be away from his team and creates a wall of soldiers that is now an extra soldier long that Viper can shoot a bullet time past. And honestly, at that point, it was checkmate.
Well, this is honestly going a bit longer than it probably should, but
sometimes you got to dot some I's and cross some T's, you know?
Okay.
And enjoy your time on the Rift. I mean, Griffin have had some worrisome games. This is not one of them. So may as well absorb it. You know, try and let it empower you for what could be a difficult game number 2. Because an angry DAMWON is a scary DAMWON.
Well,
this game, not a scary DAMWON.
Not a scary DAMWON.
No.
No.
No. Zyro, I mean, maybe that's a scary call. Here's Tarzan's looking for him, but Showmaker flashes to get out of the way. Not going to get ulted up either as they do take down the inhibitor turret to start this one off. Canyon down to half health. He's supposed to be a tanky Jarvan, but it just doesn't look like he is one this stage of the game. Yukao going to pop over the wall, and now the siege is on. First Nexus turret should be taken down. Here's the culling just eaten by Tarzan for breakfast. He loved it. An enjoyable one there. A sword is going to get kited here by Showmaker. A fair bit of damage going to come down as MF is going to take out the Jarvan first. Not a lot of damage there from the Emperor's Divide, but it looks like Griffin just have enough money in their back pockets in order to win this one, as Hoyt says, nah, sorry, Noguri. I am getting off this wild ride. Take me back. Take me back to the beginning of this game. As Griffin will be able to take down this Nexus. Sword goes golden on the fountain, almost gets Tarzan killed, and eventually, oh no, saved from defeat there. As Griffin do lock down game 1 against DAMWON, I think against most people's expectations.
I definitely think that it is against most people's expectations. That was a very one-sided game. Obviously, the kill score 13-1, really showcasing that.
Yeah.
Absolute objective control. And DAMWON, they have absolutely no idea how to draft.
Yeah. The Aatrox was an odd choice in the position that it was taken. The Yuumi first pick on red side, I was okay with that. But if it was Yuumi Soraka, they had the nuts available,
and then even though they can pick her on R4, they unironically ban her. So I don't want to hear it at this point. They're allergic to something. And
it might be a pride thing. It's like, no, I don't want to win on Soraka. I want to win on a game without a Soraka.
All people remember is to win.
Well, I mean, that's true.
Doesn't matter how you win.
But
by
also,
any means necessary.
It's not even about what people remember. Just win the damn game.
Yeah. Well, they drafted another misaligned team composition. The Corki came in on R5 to try to fix it, but it just can't fix it at that point. And we can look at some of their mishaps, like failing to kill Sword up in top lane. That wouldn't have changed the game dramatically.
Wow.
They're solo laners, Corki and obviously Nuguri, or well, Showmaker and Nuguri, they did win in CS. Corki even had the call to boot, and that was after him getting killed twice. And Nuguri getting killed in a really bad spot in top lane. So, individually, they're doing really good. But, when everything sort of comes together, this is sort of like I don't even actually know what this is like.
we ran out of analogies at that particular point in time, but have Griffin ran out of victories in this series? We'll have to find out after a short break to come back and see whether this could be the 2-0 that Griffin were looking for. They've so far lost 0-2, but they've never been able to win 2-0. They have a chance right after the break.
뚫어봐. 나 플래시가 볼 거야.
바텀으로 하자.
천천히.
보스로 하죠. 탑으로 하죠.
갈라. 쪽으로 볼 거야, 나. 서양강에. 보자.
야, 미포 지켜.
얘네 못 들어.
야, 세주환이 조심.
못 들어.
야, 이거 안지러 봐줘.
잡았어.
예, 노플. 라스 노플.
안 죽어, 나. 스탄 박아.
야, 유미 죽일래? 아, 안 된다. 타워
야, 죽이고 싶긴 한데.
야, 타워 일단 끝내봐. 타워.
내주환이 비켜.
타워부터. 야, 이거 세주환이 들어가.
내가 탱해줄게.
랜턴 봐줄게.
야, 버려.